Hi, I'm Rachel Abbott, and this is the Standard's Tech and Science Daily podcast. If you're new here, make sure to hit follow and give us a rating. Coming up, a new urban oasis opens in London. But first, a quartz mine that extracts silicon for chips inside the world's computers has halted production after being hit by Storm Helene. Sibelco sent force majeure notices to customers after floods shut down operations at the facility in Spruce Pine, North Carolina.
Yeah, this event could be very significant for consumers. And the reason is that so many devices that we rely on every day are powered by silicon. And that's obviously computers, but also phones and even TVs or fridges these days have chips in them. On top of that, the processors that are involved in manufacturing these things also affect the supply of solar panels and many other types of devices as well. And then there's the knock-on effects that this is going to cause to industry. For instance, in crypto and AI rely heavily on processors, and we don't know how much they'll be affected as well.
That's Alex Pell, the London Standard's tech editor. Alex tells Tech and Science Daily what we know so far about the incident and the damage.
Sky and other sources are reporting that the floodwaters in the area have risen by around 6 meters. And so the issue here is not just that one individual processing plant has been affected, but that the infrastructure around it, including railway lines, etc., has been greatly disrupted. It's also being reported that much of the inventory that was already created and ready to be shipped in the area may well have been affected by the floodwaters. And it's possible that some of that might be cleaned, but it's also possible that a lot of it may be actually unusable. Reports also indicate that the company itself, Sibelco, has been issuing what they call force majeure notices, which means that they will not necessarily be legally obligated to supply to their customers because of natural disasters. And that is not a good sign for anybody, if true.
Alex also explains potential next steps and the extent of disruption.
In terms of when production could be picked up again, it's hard to say, but all we can say at the moment is that it really does not look like it's going to happen anytime soon, and we could be potentially talking about months rather than days or weeks. Were that to be the case, it could have knock-on consequences for the supply of silicon that could last longer than anybody can reasonably predict right now. But the most important thing is don't panic.
Next, Meta has announced plans to expand its relationship with banks in order to combat fraud. So far, the parent company of Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp has been working with NatWest and Metro Bank, but is now expanding the scheme and will enroll more banks. But how does it work? Well, they say the Fraud Intelligence Reciprocal Exchange, or FIRE program, allows banks to share any intelligence they receive with Meta directly. Apparently, a significant concert ticket scam was taken down, which involved around 20,000 accounts run by scammers across 185 URLs. Now, fancy visiting an urban oasis in the UK's capital? Well, this next one might be for you. The owners of London's Canary Wharf have teamed up with the charity behind the Eden Project in Cornwall to create just that in Docklands.
It's taken a while to get it all completed. It's quite a big project. It's Eden Project's biggest urban project they've ever done. They've done quite a few in sort of more rural locations and one or two small-scale ones in urban locations. But this is the biggest of any in a sort of city centre in the way that this one is.
That's the Standard's business editor, Jonathan Prynn. Eden Dock, which officially launches today, Wednesday the 2nd of October, has floating gardens, boardwalks and aquatic habitats and increased biodiversity. In fact, it's already home to wading birds, waterfowl and songbirds, to name a few, as well as a species of plants rarely seen in London. The launch came as Canary Wharf published new research showing almost 3/4 of office workers prefer to work in a location near water and green spaces. The Eden Project says the dock should encourage a greater diversity of life than much of the open farmland in England. You can read the story in more detail on our website, standard.co.uk. There's also a link in the show notes. Let's go to the ads. Coming up in part 2, could slowing down our voice tempo help dogs understand us better? See you back here in just a minute. Welcome back. Now, if you own a dog like me, you can often wonder just how much or if they even can understand you. Well, according to researchers at the University of Geneva in Switzerland, it may come down to the speed at which you speak to them. Their research suggests your pooch's comprehension of human speech relies on a slower tempo. When people talk slowly, it matches their pet's receptive abilities, allowing the dogs to better understand commands. Despite not being able to produce human sounds, man's best friend is capable of responding to human speech. Next, Elon Musk has said he's going to remove bold text from posts on X because his eyes are bleeding. According to Mr. Musk, to view bold text, you'll need to click on the post directly to view details. He's also said that italics and any other formatting will be removed from timelines because formatting options were being abused for engagement farming. And finally, in what scientists have described as an improbable event that defies rational explanation, a new species of moth has travelled 4,500 miles from the South American jungle and been found inside a home in Wales. The two clearwing moths are believed to have accidentally took flight inside a photographer's boot bag when they still were larvae. They were discovered 3 months later on top of a windowsill by 22-year-old ecologist Daisy Cadet and her professional photographer mother, Ashley. Via an Instagram post shared widely, Natural History Museum scientists were able to identify them, confirming that not only were they a non-UK species, but also previously unknown to science. You're up to date. For all the latest news, head to standard.co.uk. Tech and Science Daily will be back tomorrow. See you then.